Up a video a month or two back about oiling your rope and how important it was. A dry fiber is a fragile fiber, especially when we're talking about jute. So I'm just going to go over a real quick how-to rope care video. First thing, I would like to talk about is rope care is extremely important, especially when dealing with a single, what am I going to say? A single yarn or a single ply yarn. Most ropes that people use today are either going to be a single ply or a double ply. Double ply yarn tends to need less care as far as de-energizing and stuff like that, but you are still going to need to oil your double ply just like you would a single ply. But what we're going to go over today is just a single ply yarn rope care. I can go into what a single ply is in another video if people would like that. But basically anything you're getting that's going to be Japanese-esque or a traditional rope via jute is going to be a single ply, and it's going to need a little bit more TLC than a double ply rope. If you go on my website, I do have one double ply rope up there. It is the original Moko jute, and then pretty much any other spec is going to be a single ply rope. Basically what we want to do is, you can see we've already got some rope up here hanging, and this is the last part of what we're going to do. But after you use your rope in a scene, whatever, vice versa, or even if it's just sat in your bag for a while, all coiled up, you definitely want to go ahead and tie your rope off to something and give it a nice stretch. And you don't want to really yank on it, but you just want to give it a good old stretch to kind of try to start balancing out that energy. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our coiled rope, right, uncoil it, and what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and just throw that rope all the way out, so that way it's not overlapping or entangling. And this is the first part of just rope care in general. We're going to try to de-energize or move the energy in the rope. If you're like, what are you talking about, de-energize energy? Rope is basically made up of three strands, and each strand is spun counterclockwise or clockwise depending on the lay you have, Z lay, S lay. And what happens is what holds the rope together is you spin the three strands together one direction, and then you counterspin everything the other direction. So it's just like contradicting forces that held everything together. But this is also energy. And what happens is, over the time of using your rope, if you don't de-energize it properly, the energy starts to build up in pockets, and that's when you end up with the little bump outs or high strands. So what we want to do is, after each use, if you're really thorough and good with it, I don't know a lot of people that do this, but you're going to want to de-energize your rope, and we're simply just going to grab it from one end, pinch, and pull. While we're pulling, you should watch your rope start to spin. You see, I got a little bundle up right here. Watch right in there, so you get a little bit of a spin. And then we're going to simply do that with the other end as well. And if you're really good with your rope care, you'd probably do this once or twice in each direction, but you definitely want to, if you go one way with it, you got to go the other way with it. And what we're doing is we're just pushing that energy down the rope again. So if there's any buildups, we're trying to level it back out. And again, since I went one direction, I now need to come back the other. And I'm just pinching as hard as I can and pulling. And what we're getting is little twists. Twist here, twist there, twist here, twist there. That is first step to de-energizing your rope. If you can take a look, I was grabbing pretty hard, and I've already put a hole in this glove. The reason why I have gloves on is because I'm going to oil next, and I hate the feel of mineral oil on my hands. So after we've gone ahead and done a little bit of de-energizing, now we're going to take this rope, fold it in half. We're going to hang it. What we do is when you're hanging it, you don't want it to touch the ground at all. You want to hang it high enough where nothing is touching the ground, because we want to give this rope the chance to naturally de-energize. There we go. I'm just going to put it with the rest of my ropes and let them hang there for a day or two. Or honestly, if you could, I'd let them hang till the next time they get used. And that's just a real easy and simple way to take care of your ropes. It's only one of many different things that you can do. The next thing we're going to go into is oiling your rope. Oiling your rope is so key. If your rope dries out, it's done. I mean, you can use it for groundwork all day long, but you never want to use it for anything up in the air. Once a rope has dried out, it has been compromised, it is no longer good. Anything coming out of the United States these days, or most any other place I know, is using a 2% JBO jute yarn. And what that means is there's only 2% JBO in there, so there's a lot less oil in there. JBO is a jute batching oil. It's the crudest form of a petroleum product you can find, full of carcinogens, really nasty stuff in my opinion. I just don't want that on my bottoms. Also, I just can't stand the smell of it. It's like kerosene. It's pretty crucial. So now we're going to go over another part of rope care. That's going to be oiling your rope. As you can see right now, I'm trying to be able to throw this stuff out where it doesn't bunch all up on itself. Once I get it to a good spot, we're just going to go over oiling your rope, right? Oiling your rope, there's hundreds of different ways to do this. This is the fastest method I've found, and I've just recently switched up to it. You're going to want to get a cloth of some type, something that's not going to shred or get all over the place, and you're going to need an oil. I use mineral oil. A lot of people like jojoba, camellia oil, all that other stuff. Mineral oil to me is cheapest, gets the job done, and it's real easy to find. You can go to any grocery store. If you go to the pharmacy department, look in the laxative section. You're going to want to get a food grade mineral oil, so that way you know you're not getting anything wonky. And with that, you're going to need to figure out how to get the oil from the bottle to your rope. What I do is a setup right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's a 2-rag setup, and these are just cotton cloths from any hardware store. I put one cotton cloth on the bottom. I'm going to fill this up with mineral oil, and then I'm going to use my other cotton cloth and I'm going to dab it into here, and then that way I can pull off the right amount of mineral oil. I already had some mineral oil in here to begin with, so I'm not going to add that much more. Once I got my mineral oil in there, I'm going to go ahead, just press down and let it absorb into the other cotton cloth. And a lot of people are going to say or ask, how do I know if my oil is, my rope is oiled well enough? And that's personal preference. I'm a firm believer in little baby steps. You can always add more oil to a rope, but it's really, really hard, if not impossible, to get oil out of a jute rope without damaging it. So what I tell people, especially if you're ordering any of my products, you definitely want to oil it at least once or twice within the first 2 months, just to make sure you're getting some good saturation. I don't know if you can see this or not. Probably can't. But I'll just give you a good idea. This rag is not 100% saturated. I want to say it's like 50%. If I give it a good squeeze, I'm squeezing this as hard as I can. I'm barely getting any drops out of there. And even then, I can still use this rag. I don't want this rag 100% saturated. I want to put on or apply the minimal amount of oil I can. And then, if it's not good enough, let it absorb, and then come back and do it again. I always think it's kind of silly to double oil your ropes in one day or right away. I like to oil them once and then let them sit and saturate and then come back and oil it a day or two later. So now I've got my rag. I like to double it over. I'm simply just going to grab and pull. And while I'm pulling, I'm also squeezing as hard as I can. This is also de-energizing my rope as well. So pull one direction. Got it good. Can't see it, but it's definitely pulled all the oil out of this rag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just dab it again. Once I think I've got it nice and saturated, I'm going to throw this rope out. I'm going to pull now from the direction I just received. One more time. Pulling. With that, we're good to go. As you can see, these are two ropes from the same kit. Not sure if you can see the difference here. This is the oiled. I mean, they've both been oiled. This is the one oiled today. This is the one that hasn't. Your oiled rope is always going to be a tad bit darker. Once I've done the oiling, I'm going to come ahead and find my bite, and I'm just going to hang it up. And I'll go through the rest of these ropes. That's about it for oiling. Other things I could probably touch base on is I get asked a lot of questions about all sorts of different oils. You can use whatever you want. The trick to it is will your oil go rancid? I get asked about coconut, I get asked about almond, I get asked about all sorts of different oils. You use what you want to use, but if the oil goes rancid, you're going to end up with a moldy, stinky, gross product. So I always suggest going with stuff that doesn't go bad. And that's pretty much all I got for this one on the oiling. The one thing I will touch base on is waxing your rope. Waxing your rope is awesome. But there's a caveat to waxing your rope. I don't know if I used the right word. Waxing your rope is the last step in rope care, to me. I hear a lot of people buying rope and they go out and wax it immediately. If you wax a rope immediately without oiling it properly first and don't get anything into the core, like good penetration, you're basically going to seal off that rope to the point where it can no longer accept or receive oil. So when I sell my rope online, I do sell a waxed rope, but before I wax it, I oil it twice. So that way, you know, I'm sure that I'm getting good saturation, because wax is basically a coat on the rope that protects it, right? But it's you know, double-edged sword there. You're going to protect your rope from the elements, but at the same time, you're going to keep the elements that you want to get into it out as well. So please think about that. This is just all my take on how I do this stuff. I'm not the end-all be-all, but it's my personal opinion. Make sure you're taking care of your ropes. Rope care is key. It'll make your rope last a lot longer. Also, you know, rope handling is just as important. You know, if you don't know what you're doing with your stuff, you're going to destroy it. First kit I got from Japan 7 years ago, I destroyed within 2 months. I had no idea what I was doing. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Please feel free to shoot me a message, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Mocha Jute. If you want a video, I will happily try to put one up for you about any topic that you know, I think I could share some knowledge with. Other than that, you know, keep it kinky, motherfuckers.